and welcome to the Nickel Podcast. My name's Mike Friday. I am with the Nickel Independent Film Festival. We are celebrating our 25th year this year, and in honor of that, we're interviewing some filmmakers from Nickel, past, present, and future, if I can figure it out. And I'm here today with director, writer, producer, Elizabeth Hicks. Thanks for coming and chatting with us.
Thank you for having me, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing great. The sun is out. I'm in my weird little office. My webcam is from Newfoundland and can't figure out the sun. So I'm in very dramatic side lighting here today.
You are. I like it.
So I just wanted to talk to you. Your film, I Need to Get This Off My Chest, is playing this year at the festival. Can you talk to me a little bit about your sort of how you got your start in film, and if there were any major inspirations from film or other art?
Yeah. How I got my start in general, or how this film started?
Let's start with in general.
Sure. Well, I did... Actually, let me roll it back even farther. I guess I have always been making little videos and little movies, like, since I was a kid. And, like, in grade school when there was an option sometimes to, like, make a video. It's like music class, but make a video. I was definitely, like, a make a video kid. So I don't remember, like, where the interest started. It was just something that I always did. And then I was doing my English degree at MUN, and I started doing the diploma in, as it then was, performance and communications media, but it's now stage and screen, I think. And then I met a bunch of friends through that. We started making little movies for class, but then also really for the Nickel 48-hour challenges. It's like really where I started making movies outside of school for the first time. And they're easy to make because the commitment is so low, but you still get to have resources, free ones, and it's all friends, but, like, how often do you convince people to get together to actually, like, make something happen like that? So that was sort of like the launch pad for me. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on the Nickel podcast. It really is the truth.
Well, we'd love to hear it regardless.
And then I applied for Picture Start. I'm giving the shortened version, but I applied for Picture Start in 2020 with a project called Bounce that was produced by Kyla Smith, and then went through that process and then applied for the RBC Emerging Filmmaker Michelle Jackson Award in 2023. And then that's how I made I Need to Get This Off My Chest. So that's sort of the brief overview.
So how did you find the change in going from, the 48-hour challenges, which are, very free, very fast, to moving into something where you've got a budget and a crew and a commitment and a bit more of or I don't know, did you feel like there was more pressure? It kind of feels like there's more pressure in a situation like that.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I know that you get this because we've talked about this before. I think we recorded it.
Yeah, probably. Way back. There's some diehard fans out there like, oh, talk about something new.
It's like part of our lore. There's definitely more pressure, and I like to say to people when they ask, like, you can either make a movie for $0 or you can make one for, like, over 40,000, and there's really no in between. Like, once you break the seal on paying people and paying for things, then you have to pay for everything, and then it, like, steps it up into something that is closer to professional, and you have insurance, and you have people who are putting more time into it, so they care more about it, and everyone's looking at you to hold the whole thing together. So there is more pressure, but I think the whole time that I was making films for no money, which I still do, I think that I hoped to have the responsibility and the pressure that comes with the resources, someday, because then you get to do more exciting things, work with people who probably wouldn't have the availability if you didn't pay them.
Yeah.
and make a product, that you can that acts as a launch pad for other things.
So, what are your favorite parts of each sort of level? Like when you're working with, we'll start with working with nothing. What's your sort of favorite parts of working in that process?
Well, I think that making nickel 48-hour movies really was how I learned to collaborate, like my preferred collaboration style. And every year or every challenge, I would like add to my toolkit of what not to do's. And then like by like the eighth one, I was like, no guys, you gotta trust me.
Yeah.
We have to stop filming before midnight on Saturday. So there's like that, just the like working with people in like a condensed amount of time to make something that is like really just passion filled because you're doing it for no money and you're doing it because you want it to be fun. And I mean, something that I'm thinking about as I'm talking is like the thing I do now a lot of the time that's very similar is doing these sketch comedy shows that I do with my troupe, Mom's Girls, which is like a similar passion project. Like we don't really make any money from it, but we get together and we put the time in because we want to make this product. And I think like I guess the point I'm trying to make is that like the skills that I learned collaborating on these challenge films and also making these sketch comedy shows, those are all skills that are still applicable when you do have a little bit more money or people involved.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. It's a great sort of no pressure, get your footing type of thing before you jump into the bigger, more intense sets.
Yeah.
So then once you do sort of make that jump into a bigger budget project, what's your favorite part that sort of differentiates it from the no budgets?
Well, I think I like being able to delegate things. Like, I think one of the things that draws me to wanting to direct film is that it sounds kind of cheesy, but like I really do like working with other people who do things better than me. I really like being on a team. It's like one of the reasons why, or one of my favorite parts of playwriting. It's like when you bring the scene in and other people read it and they make things funnier or, like in ways that you couldn't have imagined otherwise. It's just like the best feeling. And so when I've had the privilege a couple of times now to have the money to work with like, a composer, like somebody to write the score for this short film, like I need to get this off my chest, like working with Adam Foreign and like describing what I thought the mood and the tone were and then having him send back these samples. It's just like, yeah, it's a privilege and it's so fun to see. Like I would never be able to, I can barely even use words to describe what I think the music should be, let alone make the music happen,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, it is a really great part of film. People talk about the collaboration of film, and I feel like there's nobody who gets to see it in a more exciting way than the director a lot of times. Because, yeah, you're really watching people bring their expertise into the vision.
Yeah, and how cool is it to have everybody asking you, well, what do you think the whole time? And I'm like, me? Well, I'll tell you if you really want to know. Thanks for caring.
Yeah. So let's talk a bit about. I need to get this off my chest. I don't want to spoil too much because this will probably come out before the film screens. But so you've done some 48-hour challenges. You've done the picture start, and now you're sort of ramping up to the Michelle Jackson Award. How did this film? Why was this the film that you chose to make?
I wrote the script for the application for the Michelle Jackson. And I wanted to, I had applied several times before, so I'm telling people, don't give up. If you applied before, well, for anything, for any grant, apply again, because I applied many times before I got it, and I decided that I wanted a script that was manageable for the amount of funding, and I wanted to do something that I'm having a bunch of thoughts at once, like all the things I wanted. Yeah, I guess I wrote the script for this application, and I wanted it to be, funny, and I just had this experience, or I guess this feeling that I wanted to put on paper, which is like, if you see yourself as a bad person, where do you go from there? That's like one of the feelings.
Okay.
And then, like how complicated that feeling is when you are a child turning into a teenager. It's like such a formative time for figuring out who you are. So this is really a story about this little girl that does a bad thing, a thing that she thinks is wrong, and then she sort of has to grapple with why she did it. And it's all tied up with her, the way that she sees herself and her body and her sexuality. And so I've like tried to make this sort of layered story through what I think is a pretty simple plot. And I guess I'm saying all kinds of things about the film, and I wasn't supposed to say too many things.
Oh, no, you're go wild.
But yeah, in the first version of the script, I had a sort of like inner voice, like, like not a narrator, like I can't remember what the word, well, yeah, an inner voice, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then that in later versions of the script became this big, actual physicalized bear, kind of like Donnie Darko, like Ted, like, there's like a million different examples. It's kind of like, physicalization of what's going on her inside. And then, yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this story. I wrote a version of the script that didn't have that, and then I added it, and it just kind of like became this even more absurd version of it that I think more than any other project I've ever worked on before, it's very different in the end than how it was at the beginning.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was thinking like a Jiminy Cricket, type, that internal voice personified. I feel like it. Did you find that it really helped? Because I know writing for a character who's at that age, like there's so much happening in the mind of a teenager, like a young teenager. So did you find that made it easier to sort of flesh the character out? Was it kind of like a freeing choice in the end?
Definitely. And also I was very committed to learning from the mistakes of my last short, or not mistakes, but just, like lessons learned, like toolkits of what not to do, or next time I'll do betters. And one of those things was I felt like in the last short I made that maybe there were more opportunities for like cinema, like image, as a lot of the other artistic work I do is writing, I guess. So I wanted to make sure that I was like showing things on screen and not having things implied, because that's a note that I get a lot, I guess, on my writing or even on other projects that have been finished, that I'll sort of like lean too far in the direction of like wanting people to make their own decisions about it, but then I don't actually have enough there to prove my point. So in trying to find that balance, as soon as I decided that I was going to have this Teddy figure, it did unlock so much more possibility, not just for like unraveling what was going on in her head, but for like how to show a little girl's shame, anxiety, fear, all the things that Teddy is in the movie were physically there, present. And then there's also just so many more opportunities for gags.
Yeah. So when you were writing through this script this time, were there any like specific areas that you like? How did you go about writing images into your script, or was that kind of how you did it, or was it more in the storyboarding process?
I Yeah, it's a good question. I tried to put as much as I could into the written script. Um, like there were some key details that I wanted people to read the script and get that it was funny, you
Right.
know? Which I think is hard when you're writing like comedic screenwriting, because screenwriting is supposed to be a bit pared back, in terms of like describing the action, but then you need to have enough that when people are reading the script to decide whether or not they're going to come on the project, like they need to know the tone. So I did have a lot of things described, but the storyboarding and planning process with the director of photography, Morgana Mackenzie, was very in depth. Like we worked for weeks planning everything. And it was definitely the most in depth process in that way that I'd ever done before. And I learned a lot from her. Like we had this Google Slides like shared account where we really planned out like every single thing. And then when we both got to the locations the week before the shoot, we took pictures of everything, and then like found some more opportunities for like meaningful shots. But then also, yeah, we're like, oh, that would be so funny. Which really, when I like analyze myself, is a priority.
That's great. Yeah, I like that. That feels like another big difference between the no budget and having some money is that prep time. Building in that prep
Yes,
time is really.
definitely. Because then, yeah, the whole thing is just more intentional when you have the time to make the decisions. And uh, it's more fun to be on set as a director when you have a really great plan, and also when you've talked the whole thing through with your cinematographer and hopefully everybody else as well, so that you're all on the same page in advance, and then you can play a little more on the day.
Yeah, yeah, definitely fun for a comedy as well to have that playroom.
Yeah.
So I'll ask you this before we go. So sometimes I like to see if filmmakers have any advice for any other emerging filmmakers that might be coming up. But you mentioned this, and I think this is a great thing to sort of have in mind. So is there anything that after this shoot that you're sort of saying to future Elizabeth, like things to keep in mind for your next shoot, or things that you're excited to explore on the next project that you do?
Definitely. I'm like trying to choose just a few. Yeah, I feel like I sprinkled in some advice throughout what I was saying.
Yeah, great advice. Yeah.
But um, I think, well, yeah, just to come back to something I said a few minutes ago, this film is much different in its final form than it was in concept, script, storyboard, shoot, first edit. Like it really changed. And in theory, I knew that that was a thing that happens with film, like it's, you do the story 3 times. Or, there's like the writer, the director, the editor, but in the other short that I made, Bounce, the final product looked a lot like what I saw it as in my head when I wrote it, and which is very fortunate. not a lot went wrong, really. It was all indoors, so it was controlled. And on this shoot, we really fought with Mother Nature
Oh,
and
really?
decided to shoot at the end of April, which is like the worst time outdoors in Newfoundland possible, the most unpredictable time. And we faced a lot of rain and fog, which really changed the look of the film, which was really important to me, really important to Morgana. We spent a lot of time and made a lot of decisions based on being able to see things that when we shot it, you can't see them because it's so foggy.
Right.
And the weather was so inconsistent on the week of the shoot that even the sequence of the scenes, if you watch it, it's all over the place. So then I had to make sense of that in the edit room, and it really was hard, and I asked a lot of people for advice, went back and forth about things so many times, and in the end, like, I have a new meaning, I guess. Like, there's meaning in the way that the weather changes throughout the script. And I think maybe to clue all this up in, like, an advice for me for next time is to not just know in theory that you have to make the movie several times over, but to, like, truly accept that, and maybe not, maybe don't be so optimistic that the weather is gonna work out. Yeah, because we had no, for a bunch of reasons, there were some things that we just had no contingency on, and so we had to deal with them later, and that's just the reality. But I think that now that that's happened to me once, I'm gonna be, like, more okay with it the next time that it probably happens again.
Well, I think it cut together quite nice, and I don't think it looks very, purposeful, and the mood is very, like, feels very consistent and great for her journey. So
Well, thank you for saying that because I think so too. And that's major credit to everybody that worked on the film in post, like the editor and the colorist and everyone. Yeah, and I think, the film is set in Newfoundland. So the weather's going to be
that's what it looks
all
like
over the
here.
place. And so is her mental state, It's all purposeful.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming and chatting with us. For those who are watching, if you want to see I Need to Get This Off My Chest, it's playing on Saturday, June 21st at 9 p.m. at the LSPU Hall. I hope to see you there. And thanks so much again, Elizabeth, for coming in and talking with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great. Goodbye, everyone.